Hi, thanks for joining me. This is my review of Natural Doctrine for the PlayStation 4. The game is also available on PS3 and Vita, so you're going to have a lot of options as to how and where you play this game. The greatest barrier to entry, rather than platform, is going to really just be understanding what this game is. It's in essence a tabletop miniature game in the vein of Dungeons and Dragons or Warhammer. The game kind of wears its influences on its sleeve, even as far as using a tilt-shift visual effect to make the character models and the environments look miniaturized. Even the trophies are represented by little figurines with bases and everything. So if you've played a tabletop miniatures game before, you're going to be right at home here. The game is line of sight based. And you're essentially the audience, I would say, for the game. That's not to say that people that haven't played a tabletop game can't get into the game, but it is very deliberately paced. So, expect to be patient. If you're impatient, you're not going to have a lot of fun with the game. The tutorial and the tips cover how it works and what to do. If you really pay attention to those, you're going to be doing okay. I went through some of the tutorials multiple times just so I could really start to get my head around some of the aspects of the gameplay. It's really not as hard as it looks, but also keep in mind that you're going to have to do a little bit of trial and error too, and you'll just get more familiar with the game as you progress through it. Now, I love the voice acting in this game. The Japanese voice cast, it's surprisingly compelling, and the voice-driven narrative gives it kind of an audio drama kind of feeling. When you're on the map screen between battles, sometimes the characters will just talk to each other, and it's really just like listening to a radio drama. It's very interesting. And the characters will also kind of banter back and forth between each other in battle. I think it was really well done. Additionally, I like how the story evolves out of particular characters and their personalities and relationships. It's not one of those games where it's really plot heavy and the characters are just sort of there in service of the plot that's kind of plodding forward. It's really more character driven. It feels like it grows a little more organically out of the characters and what's going on with them, which I liked. I liked that a lot. Now, when you first start the game, you may find that certain elements of the UI are being clipped on the edges of the screen. This is totally fixable. Just go into the options and you can adjust this. Personally, I also turned the music all the way down. I played with the music on for a little while. I found that it just became grating for me. I didn't think it fit really well. I would have appreciated maybe a little bit more of an ambient kind of soundtrack. But your mileage may vary, but that's what I ended up doing. Another very novel feature of this game, though, that I've never seen before is the ability to choose the style of portraits that appear for your characters when they're in dialogue sequences. You can choose something that's more anime styled or something that's more realistic, probably more along the lines of a Western RPG a little bit. So I just thought that was very interesting. I of course chose the anime styled portraits, but. So in terms of the items, they're all acquired in battle. There's no kind of store or anything like that in the game, so it actually becomes the driving force for dungeon exploration, especially challenging deeper levels of the dungeons. There are two kinds of dungeons in the game. There are mines, and then there's just the story-based scenarios. In the story-based scenarios, you actually are really going to want to prioritize treasure hunting, because basically if you want those items. And there's also a limited resource called Pluton, which is essentially the mana in the game, and that's how you cast spells. So you're really going to want to hit those treasure chests up for that resource. Now in the mine areas, you're going to be able to wipe out all the enemies and you'll still be able to move around, so treasure hunting in that instance can be a little bit more relaxed. But expect to play each of the battles at least 2 or 3 times. It's going to be pretty rare that you're going to play through the a certain scenario and just finish it the first time. You need to learn it. You need to develop tactics for the particular situation. Some of the battles are pretty simple. Some of them are punishingly challenging. I never found it to feel unfair. And I really want everyone to keep this in mind. There's always, always, always a tactic that you can use to give yourself an advantage and get through the board. Make sure that you recognize that the mine's deeper levels are optional. They're intended to be returned to when you're at a higher level and you have more experience. If you're playing a mine for the first time, when those green escape squares appear, the ones that you can stand on to go back to the map, you've beaten the initial challenge, so that's all set. Go ahead and try going deeper into the dungeon. See what lies ahead, but just don't expect to beat it, because that will probably really frustrate you, and it's just not something that you have to do right then. The game saves a checkpoint, so you don't have to worry about dying. You can go ahead and do that, but, just restart from the checkpoint when you finish the dungeon and just come back to it later to finish it. When you're at a higher level, your roster is also going to change. That might make it way easier, or it might almost even be essential to get to later levels of those dungeons. Also keep in mind, if you're struggling a little bit, you can't use the same strategy for every battle over and over again. I can't stress that enough. Each board presents its own unique challenges. Sometimes you'll kind of get hints for what to do during the battle by like the character dialogue, and you want to pay attention to those. Maybe things like you may want to really use guns in this situation, and melee just might not be an option. You may need to run in certain situations, and that's just how the scenario goes. You're not gonna be able to win. You got to get out of there. So pay attention to that. Also, the games sometimes give you tips before the battles, and I really I took those as a cue that was a tip for the particular battle that was coming up, and I think that did help me. Think about the enemies that are on the board and the board layout, and just consider what tactics are hinted at by them. You really are going to have to think your way through this game, and it's not going to be the same each time, but it's tremendously rewarding to get through these boards, and once you get the hang of it, it's really not that bad. One thing I do want to tutorialize a little bit about is the initiative system. So if you see at the top of the screen, there are icons for each of the characters. So the enemy icons are represented as red icons, and the allies as blue icons. And if you have, I guess the golems are green, you can see there. So essentially what you have is you have a turn where all of your characters get initiative, and the enemy has a turn, and all of their characters get initiative. Or maybe it's more that during a single turn, everyone gets initiative. Okay, so everyone's initiative is reset, I should say. So the turn starts. Your whole party and the enemy's whole party, everyone's initiative is reset. Everyone has one initiative that they can use. Now, depending on which characters are quicker, makes a difference as to who's going to get their initiative first. So you'll have your first character with initiative. You're going to perform an action with them. Now, if the enemy character, an enemy character has initiative next, they're going to get to make a turn. Now, what makes this very interesting, though, is that there's a link system. So what it means basically is that that character, your first character that has a turn, they have initiative, they can link in any of the other characters up to your entire party, depending on if everyone is within range to make some sort of an action. They could link everybody in and have them all take their action during their initiative. Okay. Now, what that's going to do, though, is it's going to use up everyone's initiative in the party. That is pretty much like what you want to avoid. More ideally, what you would do is you would have your first character take their initiative, perform an action. Your next character that gets initiative, you're going to want to have them link in the character who's already used their initiative, okay? Because that's not going to waste their initiative. They've used it, and they can't do anything else unless you link them in. So go ahead and link them in, and then you can take two actions, one with each of those characters. When your next character gets initiative, link the two characters that have already taken their initiative in, and then you have those three characters that can perform actions. That's pretty much how you get the most out of each turn that you get. What thing that I think that some people are frustrated by is that the enemy can do this as well. So the enemy will also, you know, if, like, let's say your first character gets initiative, you perform an action, and you weren't able to, for instance, like, kill the enemy character that's getting their initiative next. That enemy character gets the initiative, they may link in all of the other enemy characters in their party to all, you know, act against you. Now, that's also wasting all of their characters' initiatives, but if that's enough to completely wipe out your party, well, guess what? You just got wiped out. So it's very important to control initiative. Pay attention to what enemy is going to have initiative next. Try to take them out. That may require you to link in characters, let's say on your, you know, to your first or second characters with initiative, and waste some of those characters' initiatives because you have to do that in order to survive the battle. But ideally, you would make the most out of each character's initiative by only linking in characters that have already taken their initiative. That may sound confusing, but it's useful information. I think it's a pretty significant sticking point for people that I've heard criticizing this game, or, you know, if they've reviewed the game and they're like, oh, this game is horrible and I don't get it, and, you know, they think they get it, but they don't, because they haven't understood how initiative works in the game. If you understand that, you're going to be golden, and the game is so much fun. You know, this game isn't going to be for everybody. Like I said, you want to be patient. You know, if you have a gaming, sort of like an actual kind of tabletop gaming background, I think you're going to enjoy the game, more. But, you know, if you can kind of come to this game with an open mind, you know, learn how it works, you're just going to find such a rewarding strategic experience. It's very unique in comparison to any kind of, you know, sort of Japanese tactical strategy RPG. It's not like any of those sort of games that you've played before, but it's tremendously rewarding to play, and you know, I think it's fun just in terms of the characters and sort of the way that the story plays out and everything. I enjoyed every aspect of this game, maybe aside from how difficult the final battle is, which, you know, honestly, I think it works in the game's favor, just because it's, you know, in some ways a challenging game, and you know, the more challenging a game is, the more rewarding it is when you get through it. And I think, you know, most of the battles, if once you really get your head around the battle system, like I said, 2 or 3 times, and you're going to get through it, you're not going to feel really frustrated. There were definitely probably, you know, 5 or 6 battles that I had to play over and over again quite a lot, and it gets a little frustrating, but you know, I really can't say enough good things about this game. I hope that, you know, this review has been helpful for you guys. Definitely, if this, you know, looks like anything that would be up your alley, I highly recommend that you check it out. It's a very, very cool game. I think it's kind of underappreciated just based on the, you know, kind of the reviews and a lot of the stuff I've seen about it. But, you know, that said, a lot of the reviews on YouTube are positive. You know, a lot of people are obviously really enjoying the game. So, you know, I would say give it a try, and I hope you'll join me again for more video game and anime related videos. Thanks for watching.
任せておけ。
続きます。
了解。つなげよう。
外の空気吸いに行く？
まったく足手まといかよ。すまんな。オンに切る。
さよなら。 行けごっそさん。
前線を押し上げるぞ。行くぞ。任せておけ。
続きます。食べるのは僕さ。
了解。つなげよう。みんな無事だな。
行きましょう。忘れ物はありませんね。よーし。外の空気吸いに行く？当たれごっそさん。注意して。
甘いわ。